As the world has been returning back to some form of normality, it's been easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life. I booked a sleeper train from London Euston to Inverness to have a winter weekend bikepacking adventure in the Scottish Highlands. Well, at least that was the plan.
Warning across eastern parts in particular. We also have a yellow warning for snow through parts of Highland and Grampian. If you're travelling on higher road routes, some significant snowfall likely through Friday afternoon into Friday evening, and add on the strength of wind, likely to see some blizzard conditions, if not whiteout conditions.
I was awoken at 5 a.m. by the train conductor, who informed me that all lines north of Edinburgh had been closed due to the bad weather. They'd arranged for a coach to come and collect us, and that was going to take us all the way up to Inverness. A 3-hour coach journey. Thank you very much for watching my film. This is my final bikepacking adventure film for 2021. So if you liked it, please consider subscribing to the channel. I bring out a new bikepacking adventure film just like this every single month. So before I run into the route analysis, I've actually done this route, or at least something similar, before. I did this in summer 2020 with my dad, and it was the first bikepacking adventure film that I'd ever done. If you would like to see that, there is a card just on your screen in the top right corner, or there'll be a link in the description. So click that and have a look, see how it compares from the summer to the winter. So, as you saw at the beginning of the film, I got the sleeper train from London Euston to Inverness. I paid for a reclining seat as opposed to a room, which I thought would be okay, but in hindsight it really wasn't that comfortable. I hardly slept at all, and the fact then that I was woken up at 5 AM because of the train cancellations meant I hardly had any sleep at all. When I say it's a reclining seat, you probably get that much, and it's really not great at all. So if you're the sort of person that can sleep anywhere or sleep on a plane, it might be absolutely fine. But I think if I ever do it again, I will look into the room. It is a lot more expensive, but I think just being able to get that quality sleep is going to make a big difference, especially if you've got a lot of riding to do the next day. So I arrived into Inverness about 12:30. I was supposed to get in there at 7:30, but obviously due to the coach, it meant I was arriving a lot later. So I didn't have that long in terms of daylight. I only had a few hours before it went completely dark. I did manage to get a lot of stunning scenery. However, it was a little bit more challenging to film because it got so dark so quickly, and being so out in the sticks, there isn't a great deal of light. There's no street lights or anything like that. So it was fun. It definitely made it a little bit more challenging. So the route I followed, I ended up going from Inverness on the east side of Loch Ness, which is basically a B road. On the other side is where the main road is. You can follow that road all the way down to Fort Augustus. You end up going through little towns like Foyers and Whitebridge and places like that. It's truly, truly stunning. As you get into Fort Augustus, there's shops and a little bit more signs of life, and then you would join the Caledonian Canal from there, and that's exactly what I did. I left Foyers and it was already getting quite dark. I ended up going over the mountains in the pitch black, and because it was so incredibly cold, there was ice and snow everywhere. That was a little bit sketchy, I'm not going to lie, but it was still a real adventure. And coming down to Fort Augustus, it was so good just to be able to have a hot drink, recoup a little bit, and carry on the rest of the way. A few miles into the Caledonian Canal, that's where I set up my camp spot, and it was actually the same place where I camped with my dad in that previous film. I knew it really well. I knew there'd be a place to store my bike. I knew it was safe. There's usually also a fire pit that was dug out, so that does help. I brought a lot of kindling because I knew it was going to get really cold. I brought the full winter bikepacking gear, the thick sleeping bags, warm blankets, warm coats, etc., so I didn't get cold. Thankfully, I brought all of that heating equipment, so I was able to start a fire, keep myself fairly warm, and I was able to do a bit of cooking as well. It dropped to about -6 at night, which I was a little bit worried about. I was definitely over prepared, but thankfully I didn't get cold in the tent because I brought so much stuff with me. I was really glad I did that. However, my GoPro didn't survive as well. I found out from that trip they absolutely hate the cold. I've never had so many problems with battery power with the GoPro as I did on that trip. I brought 2 batteries and they both died within about 20 minutes of use. So as you'll have seen in the film, I did get some good on-bike footage, but I would have liked a lot more if it wasn't for the dodgy batteries. So the next morning I set off and continued on the Caledonian Canal and joined the National Cycle Network Route 78. It's also known, that bit, as the Great Glen Way. It's a fantastic cycle route. There's no traffic at all. It's completely off-road. It's truly breathtaking, probably one of the best cycle networks in the whole of the country. And it's steeped with history, and because it's quite a popular route, they also have things like compostable toilets on the site, which was definitely a welcome relief in the morning. I carried on the National Cycle Network Route 78, past the old Inverness station. I then crossed the road and carried on through the woodland path. Again, this is a really stunning cycle route. I've done it before on gravel bikes, but it's definitely a lot less stressful on the mountain bike because the surface is quite rough. Because of the terrible storm that we'd had, I found there were a lot of fallen trees. Now, a few of them were absolutely fine. I could get past them. But 2 miles before the end, there was a little bit of a disaster. Got a bit of a problem here. I've had a few fallen trees, but these ones are completely impassable. I've tried going up there and they just keep going all the way. And tried to climb over without the bike, but there's a big hole in the road. It looks like it's completely washed away. So I don't really know what to do now. I'm either going to head down to the coast, you can see all the broken trees, and then walk along that way and hopefully rejoin, or I'm going to have to go all the way around, back the way I came, back to the other side of the loch, which is going to take absolutely ages. So we'll see. Unfortunately, I tried going up to the top and down to the coast, both of which were just, again, completely impassable, so I had to turn around, go all the way around the loch and join the A road, which isn't the nicest road to ride on, to be honest, but thankfully I still managed to make my train. And speaking of trains, I got a text on the day to say that my sleeper train that I had booked back from Fort William had been cancelled. So instead of getting the sleeper train, I booked a train from Spean Bridge, which is a little bit closer than Fort William, to Glasgow. But because it got in quite late and there were no sleeper services, I had to book myself into a travel lodge. Thankfully, they took the bike in Glasgow. And then I had to get the early train the following morning to London Euston, which meant I got in a little bit late to the office, but it wasn't the end of the world. I managed to get back safely. It's all part and parcel of the adventure. And just before I go, I want to say a big shout out to everybody that supported me this year. I've taken the filming a little bit more seriously this year. I really enjoyed doing it, but every single month I brought out an adventure film just like this. Thank you everybody who subscribed. Thank you everybody who's liked and shared these videos and left a comment. I really do appreciate all that support, and I will be bringing out a new bikepacking adventure film every single month in 2022. I will also be venturing abroad for the first time since COVID struck. I'm looking forward to doing that, expanding the locations a little bit and also getting some incredible footage from all around the world, not just the UK. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.